Before arriving in Cape Town, we reached out to other Leopard owners and looked online to find out if there were any specific things we should check on the yacht during the handover process. We collated the information into a checklist, which the boys began going through shortly after arriving in Cape Town with the help of some specialised tools they had bought from Australia, including a boroscope and thermal imaging camera. One item on the list was leak testing the windows, hatches, skylights and doors. What they discovered was that over half leaked, allowing water inside the yacht.
Oi, Tynan! Here! Spray there!
The boys also leak tested a friend's new Leopard 45 that was due to be shipped to Europe for handover and discovered that they also had leaking windows.
You hold it there. Stop.
The leaks on both boats were raised with the relevant people in Cape Town, including our Leopard contact, and most were replaced. This sounds like a positive thing, but the replacements took place over months, with some windows and hatches having to undergo multiple replacements before they didn't fail leak testing. During the replacement process, things were discovered that suggested the standard procedures weren't being correctly followed during installation. For example, there were gaps in the bonding sticker flex that held the window on, which in my uneducated eye seems to be one path water could have taken to ingress into the yacht.
Other places there's just no sticker at all. And here there was no sticker at all. And then they put foam. They fill all this with sticky foam. All the way around, full of sticky foam, and cram it in there like a temporary gap filler.
Another example is the presence of foam that had been pushed down the side of multiple windows. The R&C Quality Assurance Manager, who signed the Certificate of Conformity for our yacht, said that if there was any evidence of this, the window had to be pulled and replaced, suggesting it's not supposed to be there. One of the most absurd examples of multiple window replacements was the port saloon window. According to the same R&C Quality Assurance Manager, the window that was initially installed in the factory was replaced before handover after failing their testing, making it the first replacement of that window. The second replacement happened after handover in the V&A Marina, but it was still not adequate, so was followed by a third attempt to rectify the issue.
So they, off their own accord, put the primer on the window frame, and then they went home, being that it was 2 o'clock. So by the time we had prepped the windows, for some reason, somebody thought it was a good idea to protect the wet primer by turning the window over and laying it wet primer down onto bubble wrap. So when the primer set and went off on the window, it peeled away and stayed on the bubble wrap. It was just an absolute So now it's Tuesday and they took the windows out last Friday and it's meant to be storms all week.
That third window is still in, but is once again leaking. As a result, we will need to do a fourth replacement.
Like, why does this happen at night? How's the water? Yeah, all the way. No, put the light here. The whole window's delaminating. No.
It's my alarm. I'm usually waking up.
How was your sleep, buddy?
Oh yeah, perfect. No, I nearly died because of a puddle down there.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
12 a.m. Midnight.
Massive puddle.
During this replacement, we plan to investigate the state of the window frame. It has been sanded back multiple times as part of the window replacement process, which has changed the shape of the frame and made bonding a new window in more difficult.
So back in August of 2021, when the rear port saloon window was taken out to be replaced again since it was leaking, both myself, Trent, and 2 Robertson & Kane employees noticed that the window frame was quite severely distorted from being power sanded the previous 2 times that it had been replaced. The following day, he didn't bring any tools or equipment and had told us that he was told that there wasn't enough time to repair the window frame and that the window just had to go back on. There was no argument that the windows didn't leak because we filmed it, the water was pouring in. But trying to organise with R&C to have people come out and actually rectify the window was just painful and slow. We were told that the guys that were replacing the window originally were also the guys that did some of the windows in the factory. So that's why we stood there with the SOP in hand and watched what they were doing, because they just skip steps and do whatever they wanted, and then we'd be like, no, that's not what your SOP says, and then they'd argue back and forth. You literally just had to stand there behind them, next to them, with them, and go through the whole process from start to finish. Otherwise it wouldn't get done as per their SOP. And we also told Leopard as well, so people knew what was going on. The boat was not fit to live on at the time, so we had to book Airbnbs for consecutive months to stay in.
Before leaving Cape Town, we had concerns about the possibility of new leaks appearing during the Atlantic transit, which turned out to be well-founded. Some windows and hatches leaked, with the most significant being the partial delamination of the owner's hull window. After coming off watch at around midnight, Trent went below to find the windowsill, curtains, blankets, and new king-size mattress covered in salt water.
When a wave comes up, it just washes in.
Thankfully, back in Australia, Trent had the foresight to order a 12-inch wide roll of rubberised waterproof flex tape from the United States, and that tape was strong enough to prevent the further delamination of the window. In all honesty, we did not expect the tape to bond as well as it has, so we'll always keep some aboard as part of our emergency repair kit.
In Cape Town on the dock, obviously because the thing is that the dock run down the side of the boat, so you can walk down and look at it from the outside, we could see that the window is separating from the sticker flex. We reported it as a warranty issue. They came out and all they do is just get a utility knife, cut a V out, and then just fill it back up with sticker flex, which doesn't address the problem why it's separating. Like, the window might not be prepped properly, there might be contaminants on the window. We said that we just want the window replaced. Like, there's obviously a problem there. Like, cut the window out, refit it if it's already separating. And they said it's not necessary, that it's not going to happen. To come up to go on my watch at 12 o'clock at night and get settled, find out, like, get an update of the weather, everything like that, get settled, start my watch, and to just hear Trent just scream like because his windows being ripped off by the waves getting under it and pulling it off. If that were to happen, we'd be pulling the EPIRB in the middle of the ocean with big swell being on, like sailing the boat on the beam, and waves just hitting the window, and they're just hitting the window, coming under it, and then into the boat, and trying to fix the window back to the boat. It's something that should never happen, especially on a new boat. Like that's stuff that shouldn't even be in the back of your head on a new boat, but let alone having to deal with it. Talking to some of the guys that work at RNC, we got told that it'll be one team that do all the windows on the boat. So if the team that does all the windows installed the majority of them incorrectly, not by the SOP that they're supposed to follow, it's fair to assume that none of them have been done correctly. So I mean, how long till these ones start coming off at the front? How long till the skylight starts coming up?
Our mast conduit separated from the mast and broke. So did our friends. Our windows leaked, and so did our friends. And with the windows, we have proof that it's not just our two boats. Tynan saw other new Leopards having the windows replaced in Cape Town, and after spending a few hours going through online forums, I found many more examples. Looking back on it now, the boys leak testing our yacht in Cape Town was absolutely invaluable, because if they hadn't, it's possible that those leaks that they found initially wouldn't have been discovered until they were in harsher conditions, possibly during the tax run to Namibia, or even on their 55 plus day sail to Europe. So I am really glad that they found them. So for me personally, the windows are just a source of incredible frustration and stress and sadness, just so many different negative emotions, because the windows were one of the contributing factors for why the boat had to spend so long in Cape Town. And every month more that the boat had to spend there getting warranty work done was another month that I was alone by myself in Europe waiting for them, because I said goodbye to Trent and Tynan in June of 2021 and didn't see them again until the end of March in 2022. So the other thing about that is that it's not just like the process took long, it's the fact that windows had to be done more than once. And with our saloon window, for example, on the port side, you can't even say that all that time was worth it because it's leaking again. So we're up for a fourth replacement on that.
It started to make me feel sick because it was so stressful and painful to be there, and going through the whole process and then the braces coming off the new windows and having to leak test them again to find out that they were still leaking. Like, I go on about how sickening it was dealing with the reinstallation of the windows multiple times. Unless you're there, you don't understand how painful it is, and then having to do it multiple times. Like, the first time it's like, oh yeah, you know, it's a defect, it'll get dealt with. And then the second time you're like, this was just fixed, why are we doing it again? Now, the third time you're like, this is just bullshit, like.
Tynan and I felt that it was important to share our story and our opinions on the windows, which is what this is, because as I pointed out, we aren't the only Leopard that's got this issue, and as such, if you're looking at buying one or you have one, then leak testing your windows is probably a really good idea.